Yo, what's going on, guys? Out here today filming a GoPro video, which is not something I've done in quite some time. I've sort of been trying to stick away from like GoPro dominant videos just because, well, I've got nice cameras, I've got nice lenses, I should probably use them. But today is a video about the GoPro Max Lens Mod. I've had this thing now for like probably a lot longer than what most people have, and I just don't seem to use it. And today I'm actually going to test whether or not you even need to think about buying one, because it's an extra $160 and there's so many like pros, but there's also so many cons with using it, and especially in like a mountain biking, you know, recording yourself ride type thing, you're recording your ride type thing, should I say. But yeah, so let's chuck it on and we'll go for a lap, and then I'll do some comparisons with just the normal super view, which I'm filming in right now, and I'll post up, I'll talk about some pros, talk about some cons, and we'll do some stuff that the Max Lens Mod can do that the Hero 9 without it can't, and vice versa. Let's go. So one of the things obviously that the Max Lens Mod can do is that whole like horizon leveling lock thing. So like right now I am spinning the footage, but I am technically staying directly straight, like completely locked out level, which is pretty cool, but for mountain biking, not really that impressive, nor do you need it. But when you will need it is when you actually are riding. So let's do that. Well, okay, this is my first ride on the new Polygon T8 as well, or my new Polygon T8. It's not necessarily new than what's come out in the world. She's wet. She's wet through here, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. Foot on. Now, having the horizon leveling locked on is fantastic, and it does obviously give you that extra bit of stability with your footage, but it does come at a cost. It does crop in just the slightest, to almost the point that you wouldn't actually notice the extra width. So I think with the crop, with the horizon leveling locked on, it actually becomes the same equivalent as the normal GoPro Super View, which is, I think, a 16mm off the top of my head. So you obviously do get that really cool locked level look where, like, you know, it sort of looks like you're floating, which I'm sort of am a big fan of, which is half the reason why I actually originally bought this. But obviously it does come at a price. You do lose that extra bit of width that it is, you know, meant to be giving you. But now I'm going to turn horizon leveling lock off so you can see what it looks like with that extra bit of super view look. I actually hate this part of the track when it's wet, because it's so slippery. Now, back on Old Faithful normal GoPro mount, shooting at its Super View, which is 16mm. So technically, like I said before, the Max Lens Mod lets you shoot at 14mm, but if you have horizon leveling locked on, it does crop in a little bit. Now, the GoPro Hero 9 on its own with Hypersmooth does have a small amount of horizon leveling lock. It just loses it, I think, at like 45 degrees. So like, it just completely loses it from memory. So it's like still pretty stable there, and there it goes. Yeah. So this is just for, you know, shits and gigs. We all know what this looks like, just but for comparison reasons, let's chuck it on. Whoa. Now, there is some more, I guess, things that need to be mentioned on the con side of using this max lens mod. For all those guys out there who love to shoot in 4K, you unfortunately aren't going to get the option. You only have the ability to shoot 2.7, and I think it only goes up to 60 frames off the top of my head. Not that you really ever shoot mountain biking at 60 frames a second. So that is to take into consideration when obviously looking at the max lens mod. If you're smart enough, you shoot 1080 and export in a 4K render just so you get that extra YouTube algorithm 4K goodness. But there is one handy thing that I do think is pretty cool about this max lens mod that can come in handy, especially for creators, and that's the ability that this thing will lock itself in portrait mode and stay portrait mode when horizon leveling is turned on, even if the camera is not necessarily in a portrait aspect. So I now have this set in a portrait aspect ratio, and if I turn it, it still stays in a portrait aspect ratio, which now allows you, for those TikTok, those Instagram reel creators, or you guys out there, to film a run with the chest strap still mounted and the GoPro mounted as normal, but it will be filming in that aspect ratio that you locked it in at, which I think is a pretty handy little, wait, my suspension is locked out. Which I think is a pretty handy little ability that this camera has to offer. Sorry, this mod has to offer. Now, obviously, like, there is some definite pros to having this, and I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy, because I'm definitely not, seeing as I own it. But the one thing you are going to get a lot of, and you've probably already noticed it in some of the footage, is that you're going to get a shit ton of sun flares and sun marks from this thing, because it technically has like it's almost like 180 degree like amount of glass exposed. You are going to get sun hitting at different angles and giving you, you know, sometimes nice little sun flares and other times really disgusting sun flares. Another thing to keep in mind is that because the glass element is so large, if you take a dive, man, that thing is going to get scratched quick, like real quick. So yeah, it's almost like I feel like GoPro were just like in the head office sitting there going, man, we need to add something else to this, like GoPro Hero 9, it just doesn't have it, you know, it's missing something. It's like, oh, let's give him this piece of glass that can get scratched really easy, you know, and it's going to give him like horizon leveling, which is sick, but it's going to crop in a little bit, but like it's insane horizon leveling, and you can also like lock it and shoot in portrait, which is also sick for the, you know, the very social world we live in with the dominance of TikTok and Instagram reels. Oh, but you know, if they're not a good rider and they crash, see you later, extra $150 in the pocket for us. Yeah, weird. This surely cannot be a good look, and I am very sorry for anyone that is watching this right now. But I thought with the horizon locking capabilities that this might be a bit of a vibe. So let's go for a pedal and it looks very strange straight off the bat to look down and see myself. I've got it on obviously super view with horizon leveling locked on. Yeah, that's a definitely an interesting sight for you guys. I'm very sorry to put you through that if you actually watched it. I could see it being like a good angle if you're like a pro and you needed to like do some like logo promo sponsors. Like, it's a sick little angle. I am going to have to try it in the portrait mode though, because I think it might work. It might. How did we go? Anyway, let's go have a look at all this footage back in the stew and get some final opinions, final thoughts. Yeah guys, back in the studio to wrap up the video about the GoPro Hero Max Lens mod. This video has been a bit longer than what my usual videos are, but I don't know, I gave it a really good test and I tried out some different things for you guys to have a better understanding of, you know, whether or not you think this thing is worth the price tag. And to be completely honest, after using it and then testing it out in all the different ways that I did, I actually really enjoyed it. I actually really enjoy using it. And I do think that it sort of is worth it. If you are wanting to have the most stable footage while out riding your mountain bike, this is going to be it. It is going to definitely give you the best stability for a GoPro Hero 9 on the market. Obviously it's going to cost you a little bit extra and you're not going to be able to shoot in 4K, which really isn't that big of a deal. There are so many ways around having more sharp and crisp footage. I just think it is worth it. I think for me personally and what I do and how I like to create my content, I think having the ability to lock it into a portrait aspect but still wear it as a normal GoPro and capture that 9:16 aspect ratio for social media is just so killer. It is so dope. I really enjoy that feature. But yeah, so if you're a mountain bike rider and you're questioning whether or not you should buy the Max Lens mod, it's a yes from me. It is certainly a yes from me. Obviously there is some risks in it. You can see how much it protrudes and how big it is, and if you crash you are going to scratch it. But if you're after, like I said, the most stable footage and the most wide angle footage and the most versatile way to use your GoPro for social media, that guy's gonna do it. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like. Obviously it does help out the channel. It helps this video grow with YouTube's algorithm. If you enjoyed the content that you watched, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. We just hit 1,500 subscribers, so thank you very much to all you wonderful human beings. With that all said and done, guys, get outside, go create and capture, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. All right, you convinced me. I'll do the helmet mount. Oh my God, this actually feels so heavy. Oh, someone's built that up a bit.